So friends, Donald Trump is orchestrating chaos in California and elsewhere just so he can try to claim that he has to deploy the military to the streets to deal with all the chaos that he created. You know, Donald, we see right through your totalitarian bullshit. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, there is a lot unfolding rapidly in California and elsewhere. Donald Trump's ICE agents are wreaking havoc with these callous, mindless, counterproductive immigration sweeps, and the result is chaos. Trump created chaos. So then Trump tries to use that as an excuse to call out, to federalize the California National Guard, but looks like he violated the law in the process. So bear with me today. We're going to make our way through two articles, some new reporting, and then we're going to look at a letter that was sent by California Governor Newsom's office to Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, in substance telling them to just knock off the effing lawlessness. It's not exactly how the governor's office put it, but we'll look at the language of the letter in a minute. And can I just take a second to say, if you enjoy or appreciate these Justice Matters videos, can I humbly ask you to just hit subscribe? It's always free, doesn't cost anything. Thank you, friends. Okay, let's turn to the new reporting. First, this from Politico. Newsom calls National Guard deployment unlawful as immigration clashes rock LA. And that article begins, Governor Gavin Newsom's administration called the Trump administration's deployment of National Guard troops to the Los Angeles area unlawful, urging Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Sunday to back down as demonstrators clashed with law enforcement. The Trump administration's extraordinary deployment of the Guard to quell immigration protests in Southern California came without necessary coordination with California officials, Newsom's legal affairs secretary wrote in a letter to Hegseth. Newsom's team argued that state and local police agencies had the situation under control and that federal intervention would only intensify the conflict. Quote, there is currently no need for the National Guard to be deployed in Los Angeles, and to do so in this unlawful manner and for such a lengthy period is a serious breach of state sovereignty that seems intentionally designed to inflame the situation, Newsom Legal Affairs Secretary David Sapp wrote. And friends, here is some of that knock it off letter from Governor Newsom to Pete Hegseth. Dear Secretary Hegseth, on June 7, 2025, President Trump issued a memorandum to your office entitled Department of Defense Security for the Protection of Department of Homeland Security Functions. The memorandum purports to invoke 10 U.S.C. United States Code, Section 12406, to call into federal service members and units of the National Guard to temporarily protect ICE and other United States government personnel who are performing federal functions, including the enforcement of federal law, and to protect federal property. The memorandum further directs actions as necessary for the Secretary of Defense to coordinate with the governors of the states and the National Guard Bureau in identifying and ordering into federal service the appropriate members and units of the National Guard under his authority. Section 12406 states that the President may call into federal service members and units of the National Guard of any state in such numbers as he considers necessary to 1. Repel an invasion of the United States by a foreign nation, 2. Suppress a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or 3. Execute the laws of the United States when the President is unable to do so with regular forces. Section 12406 further states that orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors of the states. Last night, the Adjutant General of California received a memo from your office with the subject line, calling members of the California National Guard into federal service, which states that 2,000 members of the California National Guard will be called into federal service effective immediately for a period of 60 days. Notably, this directive did not issue through the governor of the state as required by Section 12406. In other words, it was unlawful. My editorial addition. The Department of Defense did not transmit this directive to the office of the governor, nor was it approved or ordered by the governor of California. At present, law enforcement authorities from the city and county of Los Angeles are safeguarding public safety, and, as demonstrated by the robust law enforcement response yesterday evening to protect federal facilities, local law enforcement resources are sufficient to maintain order. In dynamic and fluid situations, such as the one in Los Angeles, state and local authorities are the most appropriate ones to evaluate the need for resources to safeguard life and property. Indeed, the decision to deploy the National Guard without appropriate training or orders risks seriously escalating the situation. There is currently no need for the National Guard to be deployed in Los Angeles, and to do so in this unlawful manner and for such a lengthy period is a serious breach of state sovereignty that seems intentionally designed to inflame the situation while simultaneously depriving the state from deploying these personnel and resources where they are truly required. Accordingly, we ask that you immediately rescind your order and return the National Guard to its rightful control by the state of California to be deployed as appropriate when necessary. So, summarizing that letter from Governor Newsom's office to Pete Hegseth, just cut the illegal shit out. Do you think the Trump administration rescinded the order? Fat chance. So guess what? The state of California just sued Donald Trump for his illegal act. This headline from NBC News. California AG says he is suing Trump over unlawful National Guard order. And that article begins, California Attorney General Rob Bonta said Monday he is suing the Trump administration for deploying hundreds of National Guard members to Los Angeles over the weekend, a move he called unlawful. Bonta said President Donald Trump's move to federalize 2,000 members of the state National Guard on Saturday in response to protests against the administration's immigration actions was unnecessary and an infringement on Governor Gavin Newsom's authority. The suit, which was expected to be filed later Monday, will seek a court ruling that Trump's order was illegal, he said. Quote, the president is trying to manufacture chaos and crisis on the ground for his own political ends. Federalizing the California National Guard is an abuse of the president's authority under the law, and not one we take lightly. We're asking a court to put a stop to the unlawful, unprecedented order, Bonta said. Bonta also argued that the move took crucial resources away from wildfire season and that the administration had trampled over our state's sovereignty. He charged that the protests had dissipated and streets were quiet before the president took action. Since Trump announced his plan to deploy troops, the situation on the ground has escalated quickly, with unrest growing overnight, Bonta said. That's right, friends. Donald Trump announces that he is federalizing the California National Guard unlawfully and deploying them to Los Angeles, and the situation on the ground escalates quickly, with unrest growing overnight. That's right, friends. Donald Trump is fanning the flames. This is manufactured chaos. It's like Trump is a fireman who sets the house on fire and then says he's got to trample all over everybody's rights to go put out the fire that he set. Well, let's see if the federal courts, the federal judges, again, put a stop to Donald Trump's lawlessness. Friends, remember the recent reporting that Trump's DOJ lawyers are losing in court in Trump-related litigation 96% of the time. Let's hope that gets ratcheted up to 97% of the time. Hell, let's make it a perfect score, 100% of the time. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.